Hello and welcome to Wrestle Radio Australia's live post-show for World Series Wrestling Unleash Hell. I am your host, Lachlan Albert, and I am joined, as always, by a bloke who thinks he's a god but looks like a monster, Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, mate?
Out of the blocks. Yeah, I'm great.
Mate,
No, great. Great.
We have to, right? And also tonight, we have a very special guest, a former two-time RCW heavyweight champion, two-time RCW tag team champion of Gods and Monsters, the gladiator himself, Big Brody Marshall. Brody, how you doing, mate?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, lads. I'm the man of twos, so thank you. I appreciate it.
I also believe this booking came with you having to wear sleeves, mate, and it's just like you've already.
I don't wear sleeves. It's in a
contract. Me, brother.
Look bad, mate. So, look, we had just finished watching World Series Wrestling's first night of the Unleash Hell tour coming from Melbourne with an absolutely stacked card. I think it's fair to say that the three of us had a good time watching it, but we want to get in, do some post-show chats. So if you are around at twitch.tv/WrestleRadio Australia, you can jump in the chat. Let us know what you thought about the show, as Southie541 did, saying it was a killer show tonight, excited for tomorrow night, and excited to see Big Brody Marshall. Get in there. Tell us what you thought of the show. Give us feedback as we talk about the matches. Tell us what you agree with, what you disagree with. But as you do that, we're going to get straight into talking about it. And that means from the top of the show, the promo that was issued by the major players, the tag team of Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, issuing an open challenge for the tag team division as a warm-up, but was surprised by the team of Warbeard, Matt Grimbasso and Eric Redbeard, who came out and ended up taking the match. I'll start with Todd. What did you think of this team?
Yeah, perfect fit, really, when you look at those two guys. Like, if you couldn't have Brody there, let's find another big guy that's a ranger and with a big beard and can sort of work a little bit. That's Eric.
Cheers, mate.
So you don't realize this, but yeah, I know. Well, because I've seen the beard, brother. I saw the beard before it went grey.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true.
See, what you guys don't know behind the scenes is for about 15 minutes beforehand, we've been talking, and these two have just been ganging up on me, so I'm raring to go. Back of these bastards.
We absolutely have.
But no, it was a perfect fit for those two guys. If you didn't really know what they were going to have Eric Redbeard doing on this tour, because when you looked at it, you're like, well, I'm not too sure what he's going to play in this tour, because it looked very much like it's like a Cardona, Johnny Down Under sort of tour where they're going to go back and forth maybe. So like to have him with Matt, it's a perfect pairing for a tag team, really.
Totally agree. Yeah, like it really felt like a bit of a Gods and Monsters thing, to be honest with you. So, but like it fit him. Those two fit each other in regards to gimmick. Even coming out with the horns at the end and having a beer, it was like those are Maddie's horns. So it's cool stuff, and it totally fit. Match was really good too. I was saying to you lads before we kicked off that great to see Matty just really sort of feel confident in that area, and once he got in the ring and started throwing hands, it sort of all really came naturally to him, and those sorts of coming from experience, matches like that would have been gone through 5 minutes before they walked out, if that. So just for a bit of background, during these tours, there's as much as people think, they've got heaps of time to do everything. They're not doing anything before the match. They can work through their before the show. They can work through their matches and stuff. Pulling back the curtain here. It's not like that at all. It's actually, you're so busy during the day that by the time you get to the show, there's actually so much to do. People get ready in ring gear, whatever. The American wrestlers are worried about selling their merch, which is totally fine. So they're out at the table before the show starts. Then the show starts, and then they're like, let's go through the match. And you're like, okay, cool. And they'll go through it once, maybe twice, and then there's your music, and away you go. So there's a lot, as an Aussie wrestler, if you're not used to that, there's a lot of pressure. But it was handled and done really well by all the Aussies tonight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I still remember a story. I still remember a story from Cree This is back in the day. We did, I think it was a BCW show with Al Snow. And Al Snow didn't talk to him at all during the day. And apparently when they were behind the curtain ready to come out, he looked at Cree and said, you know how to take a snowplow, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, cool, we'll work from there. And walked out.
Yep.
And that's all. That's the only notes he got going into that match.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, look, we were saying before, I think that Matt Basso was one of the big examples of just how great the Aussie performers were here, because Eric Redbeard, like you were saying, it was tough to know where he was going to fit on this card. Obviously a big name having worked in WWE, but as far as the work rate goes, you know, when you've got guys like Cardona, like Johnny Down Under, like Bandito, he's maybe not in the same category. But putting him in this tag team with Basso and letting Matt be the person in the ring for the majority of the time, working with Brian Myers, working with Matt Cardona, really selling, you know, the size advantage that Warbeard had as a team, but also letting Cardona and Myers look as good as they are, look like asshole heels, get that edge on Grimm so that when he made the tag to Redbeard, it was really impactful. Perfectly played out, really showcased Matt Basso here in a way that I thought was excellent and is a great way to start the show. A tag team match with guys who you want to see, but you want to boo them because they're heels. You want to cheer for Eric Redbeard. You get to cheer for a local guy. You get the big hot tag. What more could you ask for in an opening match, right?
Yeah. Actually, perfect. And just like really well done in regards to, you know, the major players playing the chicken shit heel as well. So like really backing away from the big dudes and the psychology was great and perfect. I mean, look, those guys know what they're doing. Amazing. I'm going to say maybe 3-foot drop kick that he got off the ground was Redbeard. So that was good versatility, but it was a really good match and told an easy story, but a great story.
Don't be jealous, mate. Matt, he still loves you, all right? He still loves you. It's fine.
I don't love you.
One thing I also like Matt Cardona seriously has to be one of the smartest guys that have ever got like cut from WWE, turned around and possibly made more of themselves now than what he was when he was in WWE. Like, just because you got to think about that, like, the creative behind that is all him because he doesn't really have someone guiding this overall picture. It's like, here is my package. I'm bringing this to your promotion. This is what we can do. And for him to be able to adapt that to every promotion he's at, I just think he is so smart. He's made himself almost too valuable to re-sign. Like, he might re-sign one day with a WWE or an AEW, but really doesn't have to because he's so smart that he just keeps... If something, like, he feels like something is getting tired, he'll reinvent something and go into something else. And the work this guy's done over the past couple of years since he got cut has just been amazing, I think.
Yeah, impossible to deny because, like, you know, as much as Zack Ryder was a character who was on TV and, you know, he had a consistent job, that's all well and good. But the Cardona character has been kind of a tentpole of the indies, I guess. Companies like GCW, they get him in. He is the full package, ready to go. Everyone knows who he is. And you stick him on a tour like World Series Wrestling, he's selling those tickets. People want to go see Cardona. They want to see Cardona get beat up. It's that simple.
But not only that, when he went to GCW, he had visceral heat. Like, it was like, you could feel that heat in that building, and he played it up. And he's one of those guys that I really love because he's not afraid of the heat. There's so many guys nowadays that go there and there's so many guys nowadays that
he gets it.
You can see, like, if you just push this a little bit further, you'd get that really good heat, and you can tell that, don't know if I want that heat, and sort of back away from it, where he just dives headfirst into it. Yes, go and hate me. I'll call myself the Deathmatch King. I'll do all of that stuff. Yeah, and perfect for the opener, perfect to do that promo, and perfect to put those other two guys over, Matty and Eric, and really set the tour off to a really good start.
and
absolutely.
also a bloke that gets it in regards to last tour he came as the main event. He was the draw card. This year
Mhm.
it's sort of like it's dropped down to a different level, and he's
Yeah.
coming in as a tag team, so he's willing to like spread the load and work to a position where he fits within the card, which is just like that. Once again, he gets it. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's versatility there as well, where
Mm,
he's
mm.
in a tag team in this opening
Yeah.
match, but then tomorrow night he's in the main event title match. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
he's got that
Mhm.
character where he works in any of those spots, which I think is really important on a tour like this.
Yep.
But to move on to the next match, which I guess is the polar opposite of that match, 3 international guys here: TJP, Flip Gordon, and Blake Christian in a 3-way dance. This one with TJP coming out on top and ending with a little bit of respect for Blake Christian. I think for a lot of the people who were there at the show in Melbourne who weren't familiar with some of these guys, Blake Christian might be a new favorite for a lot of them.
Agree.
Yeah, very much. He's the one really that hadn't had a hell of a lot of a spotlight put on him going into like they'd known Flip because Flip's been out here for a couple of tours with World Series Wrestling before, and before the whole Elite thing went, he was a big part of that as well. So indie wrestling fans would sort of really know him, unless you really followed like a little bit of the NXT when he was in that, and now GCW, you wouldn't have seen a hell of a lot of Blake Christian. And like this was a great way to show him off to the Australian public and in these shows.
Yeah, also here's a bit of a behind the scenes stuff as well. We actually had him booked for a World Series Wrestling catch you later, Southie. We actually had him booked in for a World Series Wrestling tour, the one that got cancelled due to COVID, the one where we had Puck,
Yep.
Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, all those guys booked. So he was actually booked on that card before he was really known. And full credit to Adrian, he sourced that, and Alex Zane was on that card too. Sourced both of those guys when they weren't really less names than what they are now. So he's been on this in the eyes of World Series Wrestling for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I want to back up what you're saying there, Todd. Like, even the people who watch NXT, do they remember that Trey Baxter existed for 9 months and now is this guy? Like, I don't think that memory is there.
No, not
but
really.
I think he's an absolute talent. And like you said, Brody, credit to Adrian for, having the eyes on these guys who are just good quality wrestlers. I'll throw to Randy in the chat who said, bloody good show tonight, though they hated this triple threat. This triple threat was very much my style of match. No secret that I love the flippy stuff.
It was very indie wrestling. It was very indie wrestling.
And for me, there's a combination of when you have that style of match, you also know that these 3 guys are going to be working shows for the next few days back to back in a country they're not familiar with. So there's going to be lots of travel. So they've got to pace themselves a little bit while also working this crazy style of match. And that's not necessarily a super easy thing to do. So I want to give credit to them for, actually getting in there and doing a lot of that really impressive stuff. Like specifically, Blake Christian did a plancha over the top when TJP caught himself on the ropes and turned it into a final cut on Flip Gordon. Like, that stuff is just really impressive. And the fact that he's going to do that, then have a full day of traveling, then go out and sell merch tomorrow night before he gets into the next match tomorrow night, that's insane.
Yep.
Yeah, but also like you talk about, it was a very indie match. That's what I think I really enjoyed about this card, is that there was a very good balance all the way through. It was like a little something for every, like if you liked the old school
flavors.
sort of like the opening match was very much the old school, like I'm the bad heel, have the good guys come out and shut me up. That was cool. The next one was very much reminded me of like sort of an updated version of WCW Nitro back in the day. Would always have the cruiserweights open up a show to open it up hot. So you had the bit of the fun that people that have watched WWE and that would ease them into this show. And then here's these other guys, and look at the shit that they can do. And so you're like, oh wow! And then afterwards, you went to the girls like Steph and Jess, and then you know what I mean? It's just, I love the balance of this show, and that's.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching it, and I'm thinking this is going to be really hard because normally, like Locke, I'm uber critical on stuff when it comes to like a balance of a card, certain things that don't make sense to me. Like there's no hell of a lot of that in this show, and that like I'm like, oh, it's going to be a very different me tonight. This is not like less corny and more just like fan.
No, and I totally agree. Like this, I mean, except if you like death matches, this had a bit of everything. So I think the card was really well put together. And once again, that's Adrian. So well done to him. It was really well done. I'm with Randy. This probably isn't my style of match that I enjoy the most, but in saying that, it was still good. I felt the match went a little bit too long, but once again, that's just me.
That's also that style.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, like I've always say with like AEW matches, they always go for 5 minutes too long. You cut 5 minutes off the match, is probably going to be great.
This match didn't have it as much, but kicking out of everyone's finish, it really pisses me off. So, but
yeah,
that's just me once again. But this was really, really good. I'm just trying to remember the start to the finish was everyone sort of doing their big stuff. It went 1, 2, 3, then they went to the finish, as in move, then into the finish, which is really good. But yeah, I think TJP and Blake will tag up for whatever shows next, which is Adelaide. So yeah, I think that will be on the cards.
Look, for me, I think, and this comes back to what I'm saying, that I really love the Aussie wrestlers, and I think that there might have been a little bit more space for the international guys to space out their moves a bit more if instead of a 3-way, this had been a 4-way match. And you could have an Aussie wrestler get showcased in amongst this international talent.
Off the top of your head, though, who would you put in there with guys that can do all this?
Robbie Eagles wasn't on the show.
Okay, so I will say, and once again, this is coming from for those that I've told these guys before. For those that don't know, I'm going to just say it again. I was in the operations side of World Series Wrestling, so I know all the background stuff. So a lot of it comes down to money. Having the Aussies, we try and get the talent from the local areas, so we're not paying for flights and accommodation for Aussies to come over. So if seeing that it was in Melbourne, we would have try and used Aussie talent. So Shazza will travel everywhere because Shazza, I'm like Jessica Troy, she's a Sydney sider as well. So I thought that was a bit of a surprise. I will tell you, that's probably why Steph DeLanda lost. She's a Victorian, so she'll probably stay there. No, she's a Sydney sider, isn't she?
No, I don't know where she's a Sydney sider, and she's like based Sydney, in America at the moment, right?
Yeah, okay. So she'll. I don't think she'll be on the rest of the tour. So that's just my. I don't know about this one. I'm not involved with this one. Well, I was at the start, but now I'm not. But yeah, so it's about cost, and a lot of it is about cost, and this is why the tours are normally where they are, because it's about cost. I know the next one is the worldwide one, or the whatever they're calling it, the World Tour, which is all around Australia. But normally it doesn't go to your Brisbanes and your Perths and all that sort of stuff. It's because of cost, nothing else. Not because fucking Austin Aries busted his head open on a ring. That's got nothing to do with it. Nothing to fucking do with it. So
hey, that was a fun show, though. Okay,
was a fun show. Backstage, I can tell you now, backstage was fun. Fucking
I wasn't at all having an anxiety attack.
Yeah, that was intense.
All having an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
I remember walking out for our match straight afterwards, and Duke was the ring announcer. And I walked past him. I walked past him on the outside and went, "Well, this is shit, isn't it?" And he was like, "I don't know what I'm going to do."
I saw
I got to see Ricochet in his little Newsies cap. I was happy.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I saw Austin Aries having an absolute fucking go at everyone backstage after that incident. And look, I mean, I get it, and also I don't get it. So I could tell many an Austin Aries story. He stayed at my house, so I can
Wow.
tell you some
Well,
fucking stories.
we might.
That's
bank them
another
up for a
podcast.
moment then,
That's
mate.
another podcast.
That's some premium content for if people want to subscribe. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
But look, let's move on to the next match, which was the women's match for the #1 contendership for the World Series Wrestling Women's Championship, with Steph DeLander coming up against Jessica Troy. Now, these two have come face-to-face a few times before. I was actually looking it up during the match, and I think that there was only ever one occasion of about 12 where Steph DeLander came out on top of Jessica Troy in a match. So I thought that was very interesting going into this. But they put together the match really well. I think knowing each other contributed to that, which ended up with Jessica Troy putting on the arm bar and getting the tap out from Steph DeLander to become the #1 contender to the World Series Wrestling Women's Championship, held by, spoiler alert, Jordynne Grace tomorrow night. So I'll start with you, Brody. What did you think of this matchup?
Yeah, like really good. I mean, it was a traditional, the old the strong person versus the fast, quick, not flippy person, but strength versus pace. Now, I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen a heap of Jessica Troy's matches, and I did like it's working the arm to get it into the armbar. My thought process during that is that what she does every match? Or is it
more or less? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and like just the fact that she was called the arm taker.
The arm collector.
Arm collector. Yeah. Sorry, arm collector. I just thought, is this a standard match for her? But in saying that, like, I thought the match was good. Both girls did well. So, or ladies did well, I should say. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good match. It told a good story and it achieved what it was meant to achieve. The Brainbuster looked insane. I really enjoyed that, and well done for Steph for kicking her legs up, because that made that move look sick. So
yeah, that's like Lachlan, Jess is possibly one of my favorite workers to watch in Australian wrestling. Because of pretty much what you said, bro. It's like she works that arm, that's her game plan. So pretty much she centers her match around her offense, like Robbie does really with the leg, with his finish. Breaking down that one part of the body, because she's going to go back to it. She doesn't do 1,000 DDTs and then go for an armbar, or like she doesn't work a knee and then her armbar as a finisher.
Yeah, it's intelligent wrestling.
Yeah, everything she does, man, and she sells really, really well. She's like a good empathetic seller. When she's in danger, you can feel that she's in danger, and that's why, like I said, man, woman, child, I don't care who it is. I think she's one of the best workers in the country at the moment. It has been for a long time.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
yeah.
Go for it, Brody.
Too?
No. Just Dane's in the chat. Dane's actually on the tour right now. Foot Stompers. There you go. He's actually on the tour right now with the boys. So
excellent. Thanks for being here, Dane. Look, I want to absolutely agree with what you guys have said there. I love that the game plan is on the arm. I love that that's not her only offense. Like, if you go through kind of Jess Troy's signature moves, she's got a great Meteora. She does all of that brilliant stuff with the ropes. I think that it's really excellent that she's got a game plan built around the arm, but her moves are always moves that make sense in the situation. It's not, I'm here, now I move around to get to the arm. It's like she does a great match and then pivots towards the arm every chance she gets. I think it tells a really good story. And yeah, huge credit to Steph DeLander here, because I'm pretty sure she stepped in reasonably last minute for this tour when I believe it was Deonna Purrazzo couldn't make it. And then, unfortunately, there was also the cancellation from Taya Valkyrie. So the women's roster for the international talent is suddenly smaller, and Steph has stepped in to fill that hole and really showed off, why she was able to make it in the US with a match like this. So, two people that I've been a fan of for a while, that I've seen these two wrestle each other live, and it's everything I expected from that matchup. But that one led into what actually turned out to be my match of the night, which may not have been a surprise to anyone when you hear who was in it. Brian Cage versus Josh Alexander. This one ending in a no contest due to the Pereira interfering, presumably because they've got a tag team championship match tomorrow night against Brian Cage and Flip Gordon for the tag team titles, which did a really good job of having neither Cage or Josh Alexander have to take a loss while also making the Pereira look like absolute assholes, which benefits them later in the night. And tomorrow night, it adds fuel to that tag title match. But this one was just absolutely balls to the wall. Brian Cage is Mr. Get My Shit In. We all know that. And Josh Alexander has a repertoire that is seemingly bottomless. Like, he can just pull new moves that seem like they've been done 1,000 times out of nowhere. So this match for me was an absolute barn burner, and I loved it. Todd?
Yeah, Josh Alexander makes me wish I watched Impact more. That's
agreed. Yeah,
that's how good a match. That's how good a wrestler is.
Yep.
Like you said, as this match was going on, being the guy that works behind the scenes in wrestling, like I do and like Brody does, I kept thinking, and now like Brody and I were chatting, and like I was like, I don't know who are they going to have go over in this match, because you can't really have Cage doing it because he's got a tag title. He's like a tag champion. Can't really do that. You can't have Josh Alexander do it because he's the Impact champion. What are they going to do here when the Pereira hit the ring? I'm like, that's smart, because you're leading. At least they're leading to the next night as well. So if you're watching on Fight like we are, you're more than likely to go, oh, cool, I'll watch it again tomorrow night because it's leading somewhere.
Absolutely.
So it was a really good match. And those two, like I said, Josh Alexander is great. It makes me want to go awesome and find more of his Impact stuff, because like I'm guilty of it. I don't really watch Impact a hell of a lot unless I hear there's something that's really good. I'll go and sort of search it out. But you only have so many hours in the week, and it's sort of like I haven't been able to get to it, and it makes me want to get to it to watch his stuff.
Anyone who hasn't seen much of Josh Alexander's work, and Todd, you're going to be totally unsurprised by this recommendation. The marathon match he had with Speedball Mike Bailey towards the end of last year was an absolute corker. So if anyone wants to see what the kind of top level of Impact looks like with Josh Alexander at the front, that's a match to track down. And it is free on YouTube. Yeah. So.
Yep.
I
totally agree.
Brody, what did you think of this match, mate?
Really, really good. Well, I'm just going to once again just name drop here. I've been lucky enough to step in the match with step into the ring with Brian Cage at least 3 times. He is a bloody intimidating bloke, not just in the ring, but he's actually a really nice guy outside of the ring. But once again, he's when you're working a match with him, he will tell you what the match is. You probably get to run it through once, and then it's music time, and out you go. And there's a lot in his matches, so really, really good. I did love. I'm just looking at my notes here. I did love the fire up from Cage into that clothesline block, which led to the fire up to Alexander, which when Cage hit the clothesline, I thought that was fucking sick. Stuff like that I really, really enjoy. So there's some really good spots in that match that I enjoyed. So and just I like the fact that they went for that ankle lock so many times, and then that last one, you thought that Cage was going to tap because they went with it for ages, and he got the rope break. I thought that was going to be the end of the match, and I was like, if this is the end, well, whatever. But it wasn't. So I kind of like that build and sell to that. So it was quite good. Good match all round.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be watching that one again, I reckon. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was a really clever way to end it. And there was a lot. And Dane in the chat is absolutely right. The crowd weren't massively behind Josh Alexander when he came out, but by the end it turned them. Very solid match. Yeah,
totally agree. Because a lot of people wouldn't know who he is, well, like the casual fan. So but yeah, if you watch Impact, you definitely know who he is. He's an absolute gun.
Oh yeah, and he's actually had like one of the best long-term stories in a while, I think, where he traded in the secondary title for a shot at the main title, which was such a good long-term run. And he has really been on top there for a while. But yeah, and I thought the Pereira beatdown was really well done here. Pereira came in, took it straight to both competitors, but mostly Cage. Then we had Flip Gordon come out to help fight them off. So you got some flipping machines hitting them, and then you get that incredible spike from Josh Alexander. So we got to see the finishing moves from the team and from Josh Alexander without them being in a match where they get kicked out of. Everyone gets to go home happy. Yeah, so then after that match was a tag team match. This one was after the Brody?
No, can I just say for the people that watch Fight, the intermission, and I messaged Adrian this at the time, there needs to be something on intermission because there's a lot of dead space there of people just looking at the WSW logo. But I'm sure Adrian's going to listen to this, so there you go, Adrian.
And look, having been...
I didn't say that, Adrian. He said that.
Can't find me now, Adrian.
WSW shows as a fan, I know that when you're there as a fan, that's an opportunity to go and buy merch from these international wrestlers that you never get to see, shake hands and take photos, and the wrestlers don't want to, leave a bunch of people who've been lining up to buy merch when it's time for the wrestling to go back on. So as much as it's easy to say 15 minutes, that very easily drags out. So I think that's a bit of a logistical thing for Fight that, will have to get worked out.
Yeah. But here's my thing, right? Nowadays, people have attention spans of So if you TikTok. I know if I wasn't, exactly, TikTok. If I wasn't doing this, I wasn't watching it specifically to do a review straight afterwards, I might have flicked around and started looking at something else. And then maybe that something else might have held my attention. And I just go, I'll go back to World Series tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, I know it sounds like that, and it is being uber picky when you think about it, but it's sort of like, that's just people that's hard to get them back when they're gone.
Yeah, Dane's just written, what can we run? The same ad on loop. Not much better. No, it's not. But what you could do, and I suggested this to Adrian at the time, Dane, is have highlights of the last, let's say last year's Melbourne show. So you've got highlights of that, and that can go for 15 minutes, and then you can have that as something.
Yeah, you've got how many tours now that you've done since you've come back where you could pick a match out of it and go, here's a match of two guys that they're not on this tour, so you're not really burning any of their moves. Put it on and let them watch it.
Yeah. What the Briscoes and the Young Bucks, for example, that would be sick. I'd love to watch that right now. So
there you go. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
And, you've also got the ability to go, hey, over on Fight TV right now, if you like these guys, if you want to see your Matt Cardonas and your Johnny Down Unders, guess what? All of Phoenix Rising is also on Fight right now. It's on Fight Plus. Here's some highlights from it. Go watch it. You can buy the whole bundle of shows that we're on. I think that it makes sense from a fan perspective to show me something to keep me involved, and also to go, hey, you should give us a little more money and watch a little bit more of this promotion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about selling. So that's why it's a business. So that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming back from that intermission, we did have a tag team match where the Pereira got to show off what they can do in the ring. And it was against the tag team of Joey Janela and Effie, who decided that they were called Bad Bussy, which is a very interesting, a very creative tag team here. The Party Boy and the Queen. I thought that this was definitely an interesting way to use both Janela and Effie. I think especially because it would not surprise me if later on in the tour, those two are having some kind of hardcore deathmatch type situation. So it's a good opportunity for them to get a little bit of work in where the Pereira can, get them working together on the same page, and then that progresses to a match between them. I think that, again, when you see the Aussie talent on this show, they really shine, and the Pereira are so excellent I adore their work. They look every bit the part. And Joey Janela can't talk now. Joey Janela and Effie.
Joey Janela?
Yeah, thank you. Guys who, when they come down, you're kind of going to have a bit of fun with the match, right? They've both got very larger-than-life characters. They like to do very interesting setups to different moves and things like that. You know, Effie has that incredible drag queen-style stretch across the top rope. That's the kind of thing where the Perea are such good straight men villains for that, who you want to see get a little bit embarrassed. And Janela and Effie are both so good at being themselves in full and being serious about their character in a way that is totally goofy and embarrassing for their opponent. So I think that was a really good matchup of styles there. Brody, what did you think of this tag match?
I'm just looking at my comments. My last comment is good match, but a bit meh. So I do like. I'm almost glad this match came along because it threw some comedy in there, and it sort of broke what the show was, which added another flavor of ice cream to the show, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. I felt the Gaga went on a little bit too long for me, and I'm only talking about my personal stuff. I felt the Perea played it well, and they played their role within that match perfectly. So they did what they were there to do. They sold what they had to sell. Gabriel Eros's gut punches when I think Eli Theseus was holding him, they're spectacular. I love them. But yeah, like it was really good. I thought the Greek dance to the elbow drop was a good idea. Just the execution could be a little bit better. But overall, the match itself was different and good for what the show was. It fit in well, personally.
Yeah. If I was to change anything, it would have been you have Joey and Effie do their thing, which is all good. But then when the Perea cut them off, they cut them off. And we get some real good, intense, hard offense until they get that comeback. And then they can go back into what they were doing. I just wanted to see maybe a 5-minute stretch, maybe a 3-minute stretch of the Perea just being serious motherfuckers, for a better term, and just really like putting in that they are a real fucking threat to Brian Cage and Flip. Because you look at Brian Cage and Jesus, you could probably shoot him with a bullet and you know it'd just bounce off the dude. So like if you want to be a credible threat to the guy, you've got to look like that when you're in the ring for a match.
Yeah, and we were discussing this during the match as well, Toddy. You knew that the Perea were going to win because they've got a title shot the next night, which they kept announcing over commentary, which is fine. Yeah. But like you knew who the winners were going to be. So it was
unless you said something at the start like the winner gets a shot tomorrow night against Singh. That's the only other way they could have got around it. But still, everyone would have thought.
And if they did lose and then went to a title match, I would have shat all over it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I also think
we had that discussion too.
Yeah.
So we've got Dane in the chat saying that Eli has sustained an injury, not sure how serious. That's very interesting. Dane also saying that the finish was a bit tough, didn't flow like it should have. Match probably could have shaved 2 to 4 minutes off, but it was good to see the Perea go. I'm kind of agreeing with a couple of things you guys said about like how long the silliness went on for, but it's more because I like both Janela and Effie when they go into shit kicker mode. Both of them have that ability to turn on fifth gear and become real serious threats. And I think the more that they do the goofiness, the less that they're doing that side of things. So I would have kind of liked if there was a little bit less goofiness, just so we could see a bit more of that real fifth gear mode from them. But again, look, we got a little bit of weaponry with a finish through a door at the end that did not lead to a pinfall because of Perea cheating nonsense. So we get the Perea winning and showing that they are a threat to take that title.
It was a very good, like near fall. It was very good. It was like 2 and 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Like he just got there to break that up.
Oh yeah, and it sounded like
he did.
Yeah, it's sounding like that was the bump that Eli's put through a possible fracture. So he's currently in a sling. So fingers crossed that it's nothing too serious for Eli Theseus there, because that's absolutely not what you want to happen at the start of a 4-day tour.
No.
So, you know, all the best out there, because again, I think those guys are absolutely excellent. Then to a match that was really, really short. Our World Series Wrestling Women's Champion Shazza McKenzie showed up to defend the title against Jordynne Grace, but was unsuccessful. Jordynne Grace really quickly picking up the pinfall victory to become the new World Series Wrestling Women's Champion. I think this made a lot of sense for a couple of reasons. First of all, once Jessica Troy becomes the number one contender, if you've got Jessica Troy versus Shazza McKenzie, that's just a PWA match happening on World Series Wrestling.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You kind of expect there to be at least one international talent in each of these matches. So it kind of wouldn't make a lot of sense for Shazza to retain. We also know that Shazza is in the process of moving to the US soon to ply her trade there, which we saw recently on PWA, her losing a match where she is leaving the company. So it kind of makes sense that she is in a position to not have to be on top at the moment in the Oz wrestling scene. So I think it was a great spot here for her to make Jordynne look fantastic. And my God, Jordynne Grace is in insane shape, insane physical shape.
Yeah,
absolutely.
we were talking about this before.
Yeah, so she's going into a bodybuilding contest. So she's if you watch her Twitter, she's only a few days out. So and yeah, like ridiculous. Like, I mean, God, I wish I was that big. I really do. But like, I think this, you nailed it perfectly, Lucky. I think this match, even though it was a squash match, it showed Jordynne as being an absolute monster, which she is, and it really puts a bit of a holy shit, what's the challenger going to do to try and beat her for the next match? You know what I mean? Like it builds that anticipation around that. So I thought, look, squash match, yeah. You can look at that both ways, but I enjoyed it, and it sets up for a great story going forward, in my humble opinion.
And again, it adds in with what we've been saying about the different styles of matches on this card. So far, we had, you know, a straight up tag team match for a hot tag, then a crazy high flying triple threat. Then we had the back and forth women's match with the little one versus the big one. Then we had the crazy two big guys beating each other up for ages. Mm-hmm. Then we had a tag match with a bit of silliness and goofiness. And then we get this, you know, squash match for a title. Like it's really meant that every match so far has really been unique.
And that's what I talked about at the start when we said that the balance of this card was so really, it made it go quick. It made the show go quick. And I said that to you, Brady, when the main came up. I said, well, this has been a really quickly paced show.
Yep, absolutely. And in saying that, I can hear the Mark screaming, oh my God, they made Shazza look bad. It's not about that at all. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about storytelling and what they're going to do for the future of the card. So I think, look, you could have done this a million ways, and I think this is one of the right ways to have done it. So I think it once again, it sets up the next match as it being, holy shit, Jordynne Grace is an absolute friggin' monster. Whoever's next is you know, gonna have to really fight to try and beat her and try and get this Big Cat Marshall, thanks, champ. Trying to fight to beat her to get the belt. So it really makes her look like a beast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what the whole thing was set up for now, because now it's this, like, Jess has just beaten Steph, big chick. She's going to take on Jordynne, maybe not bigger in size, but definitely bigger in, like, cut wise. So it's a good story.
She's bigger than me, mate. Not taller than me, but she's bigger than me.
Not taller than you, but yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But you know what I'm saying. Like, it's a good ongoing thing when it's come up where Jess is going to be constantly against these bigger challenges.
And if Jess does a storyline of working the arm, it takes away that strength ability. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's a story in that if it goes down that path.
And anyone who thinks it makes, Shazza look weak is someone who's switched on enough that they would have seen the whole last World Series Wrestling tour where Shazza really proved herself to be that champion, right?
Absolutely. She was the at the end in the Sydney show, she was the star. So yeah, absolutely.
So that's a ridiculous thing that I don't think can be said. But anyway, moving on to the main event here, and this was a huge chunk of the evening. Johnny Down Under versus Bandito for the World Series Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. I always think it's interesting what the first World Series Wrestling Heavyweight Championship match on a tour is, because it's really got to define what the title picture is going to look like for the tour, right? You've got someone who's potentially a former champion, or you're potentially having it on a new person sometimes if, whoever was holding it got signed at the time or whatever. So you're in a situation where you have to go, here is our champion and why they're champion at this time. And I think this did a great job of putting over Johnny as the champion, with Bandito also looking fantastic. I'll talk about it a bit more, but I'll throw to Brody. What did you think of this main event?
Good. And that's no. I don't want to shit on it because it wasn't bad in any situation. Commentators put over that it was Bandito's debut for Australian wrestling. It wasn't. He came a couple of tours ago. The nicest guy in the world, like just a bloody sweetheart. That one-handed gorilla press that he did, fucking hell, that popped me huge. I was like, holy shit. Some good strength bits in that match. Look, once again, these guys are wrestling to Johnny's going to be in main events the whole way through, so he's got to preserve his body for that. So once again, a bit of gaga at the start, which went on for too long, once again, from my humble opinion. But in saying that, they're working to the show and what they've got coming up, so I fully understand. I thought Johnny was a bit off, like just about half a step out for most of the match, even with some of his flips and stuff, which he's normally on point with. Just seemed a little bit off. But in saying that, still a great match. So I will say, and I've written this down as a note, this 1, 2, and then sweep from the crowd. Holy fuck! Is that like 10 years ago that people are still in Australia are still doing that call? Some of these fans are just bloody absolute friggin' morons and want to put shit in their own hands. Some of the comments coming from the crowd as well. I noted it in the Brian Cage match as well. Some of the comments coming from the fans that are trying to just be cool guys, it just really is crap. These guys are out there busting their nut to try and entertain you, and some of these smart ass comments are just fucking stupid. So
you know how I know you're retired now?
Yeah, because I'm getting old and grizzled and fucking angry. Yeah, but like it just shits me off. Like these guys are coming from America, and this is what they hear and see. So, just shut the fuck up and enjoy the wrestling. So, but in saying that, this match was good. I did like it. I sometimes some of the time filler stuff is Grumpy Gramola. That's me. That's my last name, by the way. It was okay. No one's mentioned Shrek yet, so
I was trying not to.
Yeah,
I did enjoy Bandito putting the mask on Johnny. I thought that was good. So
yes, it was a good use of it. A good use of it.
Yeah.
And there was definitely an element of you could tell in spots they were doing a bit of goofiness to keep the match going for a while and keep the crowd engaged while not overworking themselves. So, for instance, them doing the nut bush in the ring for a couple of minutes, or them taking a Shrek mask from someone in the crowd and using it to, get a cheap shot in. It's a good use of that time to keep the match feeling like a long drawn out main event without them working their ass off. So I'm okay with it.
Yep. Yeah,
exactly.
No, totally. Yeah, they've got to play it smart, which they totally did. But yeah, just like I said, I thought Johnny was maybe just a bit of bloody half a step off, but that's just me.
Just a quick shout out to Rose in the chat. Good to see you there, Rose. Would have loved to hear you on commentary, not calling them the Pereira.
And Eli Theseus or
Oh.
Thesis or whatever they said. Yeah, but in saying that, I thought the commentary was good overall.
Overall, it was pretty
Yeah,
good
it
commentary.
was.
I
It was
won't
good.
crap on it too much, but
Mm.
Pereira got.
I liked it for the fact that I think it was Jesse was like he was excited without being like forced excitement, if that makes sense. Like you have guys out there, but when they commentate, you're like, yeah, he's not really that hyped about this. You're putting it on. Where you actually felt like this guy was like, and the only way I can really equate it is Brody, and you'll know when Josh Armour used to commentate.
Yeah.
Genuinely excited the whole fucking show.
Yeah.
To the
And
point
was
where,
it
like,
just
if you were
fucking loved it.
commentating with him, you had to calm him down.
Yeah,
Like, just-
yeah,
Yeah,
just
a little
genuine
bit,
excitement
brother.
the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
And that's what I think I
fuck.
liked about
I miss Josh.
Yes.
And I think,
Same.
look, part of any criticism I have of the commentary, you can chalk up to just, this is the kind of tour where there's a lot of stuff going on and you haven't worked with the commentary partner before, so you're not sure of the rhythm. And also there's people in the ring who you haven't necessarily seen work before. And
Absolutely.
you're trying to put them over without knowing what their shtick is or who they are. And I
Yep.
think, with all those factors going in, they did a great job.
And
so
I will
just-
say
just-
what they've done, they've done a lot of their fucking research because they knew
Yeah.
all the stats, they knew what they'd had, they knew their belts, and they knew all of that stuff. And that half of that battle is won right there. And they're obviously wrestling fans, so they would know half of these guys. So they've got a fair education. It's not like you're bringing in like 30 Aussie wrestlers from fucking Perth and Adelaide that you've never really seen work live before if you haven't watched them on YouTube or haven't watched them on some sort of streaming service. These guys that mostly, if you're an indie wrestling fan, you've seen them work before, so you've got a fair idea of what their shtick is.
And like he said, like these commentators we've handpicked. So they've been handpicked to do the job, and some of them haven't worked together. Like Adelaide is a completely different commentary team than what's on the local shows in Adelaide. So, and last year Sydney was Concrete and Fudge. So like we chose those guys. As nice as I can put it, some worked, some didn't. So it's not about bloody anyone did anything wrong or any shit like that. It's just some of the chemistry was there, some of the chemistry wasn't, and that's always going to happen when you're throwing two dudes together and go create magic. So the commentary team is handpicked, and it's not necessarily blokes that have been working together before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of blokes that haven't worked together before, Todd, what did you think of Johnny and Bandito?
Well, I knew you'd love this straight away because it was like, this is just going to be a lucha match, really. And this is right up Lachlan's alley. I even sent a message to Brody during it going, not much selling will be happening in this match.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
because that's like, I think it was like selling will be at a rarity in this match because that's what the lucha style is. But the crowd loved it. And like, that's really all you want out of it. You want the crowd to be excited. You want the crowd to go home happy. You don't want them to go, well, that was shit. And there's no way those two in the ring together are ever going to make the crowd go, that was shit. So they did really well. Like, absolute professionals. Like, they're in that spot because of how good they are. And they lived up to that spot. So, yeah, it was a fine match. Really good. Not like Brody, it's not really my style of match, but I enjoyed it. And it wasn't like, this is shit. When's this going to end? It was never that. It was like, they're really good at what they do.
Yeah. Look, these two guys are, if you've listened to what we do at all, you will know how much I love these two guys. I've raved about Bandito and his title run in Ring of Honor. I've raved about Johnny in just about everything that he's ever done. I'm a huge Lucha Underground fan, so everything he was doing there, I was obsessed with. He's also an incredibly nice guy from when I've met him on previous World Series Wrestling tours. I was really hyped for this match. And I thought it paid off, towards the end when it started getting really intense. It was just good stuff for me. I like seeing people do things athletically that amaze you. And even when, like you said, Johnny seemed half a step off his usual self, he's still just an incredible, physical thing. People shouldn't move the way Johnny moves. It's insane. So I thought this was a heap of fun and a great way to cap off a card. Which leads us into...
Sorry, I will just say real quick, the strength of both of these lads, I don't know if you remember, that suplex where Johnny was just about bloody horizontal, pulled it up, Bandito pulled it up into the suplex, was sick. And that end spot where they were Bandito lifted Johnny from the ground, and that strength from Johnny as well, had him in that weird bloody whatever. They got him up into the corner, into the finish, was amazing. Dudes they put in effort. So
absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah. So we've got a few things coming up that we now officially know about. Tomorrow night in the World Series Wrestling. Now, we won't be able to do a post-show tomorrow night because Todd and I have our own wrestling stuff going on that we're going to be at. But
I'm booked, Terry.
Let's talk about the matches that are locked in for tomorrow night. So first off, the main event is going to be Johnny Down Under versus Matt Cardona for the World Series Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. Let's get predictions here. Do we think Johnny's retaining? Do we think Cardona's becoming the new champ? Todd?
I wouldn't be surprised if Cardona did, but it would possibly be to lose by the end of the tour back to Johnny, if that makes sense. Just because that caps off the tour on a high. But Brody not agreeing with me there. But then,
John, if I know Adrian, Johnny won't be holding the belt at the end of it.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Well, there you go. Well, I'll shut the fuck up then. And
no, just because he held it over last time. And
once
again, I'm going to talk business here. On a business level, you can't have the same champ coming back again. So I think there'll be a new champ by the end of this.
Yeah.
And I think Cardona will win it and keep it for the rest of the show if Cardona wants to come back. And that's another thing you got to look at is which of the talent is going to come back again. Cardona probably yes, because he's not signed by anyone. So you've got to look at that sort of stuff too. And I will say this is a bugbear of mine because I see all the comments and stuff on Instagram and Facebook and shit. People calling it an impact tour. Get your head out of your fucking asses. They're the only people we can book. We're not going to book people from WWE, and it's very, very hard to book people from AEW because they've got
Brian
TV.
Cage is AEW.
No, but he is and he isn't. So he's there, but he's there sporadically. So yeah, but he is technically. So I mean, Buddy Matthews was AEW. So it's just we got to book people that will fit the tour and that have not got obligations outside of what we can do here in Australia. Coming to Australia is a big ask for a lot of these dudes because it's a long trip down. Yeah, exactly. And some of them go straight back to TV when they get home. So people just got to just once again have a bit of an actual think about what's going on. Not because if we could get bloody Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy can't travel. I don't think he can leave the state. So it just if we could,
we can't drive. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, true. Well, not while he's sober, anyway. He does it when he's drunk. But if World Series Wrestling could,
and that's all the time Big Brody Marshall has. Thank you,
everyone. If we could get the other people from other federations, totally would, but it's just not possible.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could get Roman Reigns to be on a World Series Wrestling card.
Yeah,
there's no way it can happen.
Yep,
it just cannot. Yep. Right. So my prediction for the match tomorrow night is going to actually be Cardona winning, but I don't think he's going to be the person holding the title at the end of the series. I actually think that's going to be Josh Alexander coming in, after the show that we had from him tonight, where clearly the fans warmed up to him. He showed just how good he is. If you can get a match between him and Cardona, it'd make sense to have him take down Cardona to be the big cheer at the end of the series, and then he can come back for the next series. That'd be, look, it's a little bit of wishful thinking because they're coming to Brisbane next time, and I really want to see the Walking Weapon. But that's my prediction. Let's talk about the other title matches that we've got happening tomorrow night. First off, the tag team titles, the Flipping Machines versus the Pareja. Who have we got for this one, Brody? Who do you reckon?
I think the Pareja are going to win it. I think they'll get the belts.
I hope
And
they do.
well deserved.
If Eli's not injured, fingers crossed.
Harden the fuck up, Eli.
Yeah. Teaspoon of concrete, son.
No. Seriously, if he's injured, then that'll change. But if he's not, and if he's well enough to wrestle, I think the Pareja will win it, and I think it's well deserved. Those lads deserve everything they get. So,
Clear Skies and the Levy don't break. The Pareja are an absolutely amazing team who really deserve that. Flipping Machines have been well represented in the World Series Wrestling tag title history.
Belt for ages, yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think there's any need for them to hold on to that. And, it frees them up if one of them doesn't want to come back for the next tour, or they want to do more singles matches or whatever. So I think the Pareja are a great team to kind of be the standard bearers for teams coming down to Australia. And because they're such assholes, they can just hit someone in the back of the head with a gold chain and win unfairly, no matter how popular the other team is. So
absolutely. And there's ways around it if Eli is injured too. So
yeah.
It's a tag match.
And then the women's championship match, Jessica Troy versus Jordan Grace. What are our thoughts, Todd? Who's taking this one?
I think Jordan will probably keep going with it for a while. I can't see that they'll change the belt twice to two different people over this tour. But who knows? Who knows what Jordan's plans are going forward. So we don't know. Like, I'd like Jess to win it just because I'm a massive Jess mark, straight up. But I can really see why they would leave it on Jordan. She's a specimen. She's a great wrestler and just cut from granite. So, I mean, yeah.
Brody, do you agree? Do you think the Jordan is retaining?
Yeah, I think so. I personally couldn't see the Jordan. I personally couldn't see 3 belts changing in one night. So
no.
I think she'd keep it. I think there's something. I think there's more to the women's story than what's happening right now. So I don't know. I'll be pretty keen to see what happens later on down the track.
Well, because when you think about it, they had Deanna pull out. They had
Taya to make the show.
Like, if you're booking that tour, you're like, well, shit, I'm gonna have to rewrite this whole fucking tour now on the women's side because you've just missed her. You know what I mean? You'd have to, like, if your plans were to put it say on Taya before the end of it, that's done now. You're not doing that anymore. Shit, where are we going to go from here? So, like, this is for Adrian. This is like, all right, now let's see what you can do, brother, because you're under the pump, and that's what the business is.
And it's happened almost every card. We had Rich Swann booked for one card, and that old poor bugger couldn't come over. Last show we had someone pull out too.
Remember
Cody injured. Yep. Cardona tore his bicep, after we'd already signed him and had him coming over. So the card has changed almost every show. So, but worked around it, and I can tell you now the card changes as the tour goes on as well, almost live, because that happened last show too. So
yeah. My prediction for this is that the tour will end with Jessica Troy with the belt. I just think she's too good to deny at the moment, and it's going to be a feel-good moment at that last show to have her win it. But I think the way that goes is, we're getting a head shake there, but I think the way that goes.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it there. It's like my inner me is right now.
No. This is what wrestling's all about: the agreeing and the disagreeing. I don't see that happening. I see Jordan Grace having the belt at the end. So, but that's just me. So.
I think the way it's going to happen is keeping in mind that we've got Jordan Grace has a bodybuilding competition coming up. She's not going to want to risk too much injury, risk getting hurt. I
Yep.
think you have a title match next show that ends with Steph DeLander interfering to try to get payback at Jess for beating her at the previous match. Then we get another maybe Jess SDL match or confrontation at the next show. And then the last show is a triple threat match where Jess takes down Steph and wins the title in a triple threat situation. So then if Jordan comes down again, she's got a claim to the belt, and we get to see that potentially
Actually,
come back up.
that's really clever. I like that.
Hey, look
I totally forgot about SDL as well, and there is a possibility that I'm completely wrong. There's a strong possibility that I'm completely wrong. She could end up with the belt, so it could be that,
absolutely.
and that makes sense for rebooking for the next tour. So yeah. So who knows? Who knows?
So yay, Lachlan, he can do it.
Yeah. No. Well done. Well done. Very
Well
good.
done, mate.
Very
One
good.
One in a row. Well done.
No, I appreciate it. I think it's great. I love this stuff.
Awesome. Well, look, we've been talking for over an hour now. Chat has been really active while we've been going. Sorry that I haven't shouted out to all of those people, but for the people like Randy, who pointed out that it was maybe Josh who cancelled last time, didn't get any walking weapon last tour.
No, he didn't cancel. We changed the card, so it was a thought. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Please do.
He was going to be booked, but yeah, no, yeah, I lived it. He was going to be booked, but we had enough talent at the time, so he was on the back burner, and then he's come along. It was like literally this close to coming last time, and yeah, now he's here on this tour.
Yeah, awesome. And people like Dale in the chat saying that Bandito is just unreal to watch. So thank you to all those people who have been getting involved in the chat. And if you're listening, if you're catching up on this and you want to be involved in the chat next time, there's something really easy you can do. You go to twitch.tv/WrestleRadio Australia. You hit the follow button. It gets you notified every time we go live so that you can hit every one of these post shows, every one of our Making Chicken Salad episodes. Anytime Todd or I interview an Aussie wrestler, you'll get a notification straight away. You can jump in and join us. On top of that, wherever you're getting this podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button. You can do that on just about any service you can get: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Addict. Wherever you're listening, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting our episodes delivered straight to you. And hey, if you're on Apple Podcasts, hit that 5-star review. Tell everyone that, I don't know, you think Big Brody Marshall's arms look unreal. That's a fine thing to put in a review. If it's a review, it helps us. So that's all we care about. Do that. If you want to follow us on social media, you can. The show is at Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter and Instagram. We are Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. If you want to follow us on the social media individually, I'm at Lachlan Albert. Todd is at Beast Eastman. Brody is at Big Brody Marshall. That's right, isn't it, Brody?
Yeah, correct. Very good.
And if you want to get some merch, you can do that as well. Jump on over to Redbubble, search for Wrestle Radio Australia. You'll find some merch on there. I bought one of those shirts recently, and let me tell you, they are a great fit. And the money from that doesn't go into our pockets. It goes to Beyond Blue and Gotcha for Life, which are two awesome charities. That's exactly right. Todd does not want any money. No, those charities are awesome, and they support men's mental health here in Australia, which is a cause very near and dear to our hearts. Brody, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you want to shout out while we're here?
No, just thank you for having me, lads. I really appreciated it, and I'll talk to you again on the last show of the tour. But yeah, no, I've loved every second of this. Yeah, really, really good.
Absolutely. So we will catch you, Brody, on Monday night. It's been an absolute honor to have you. Todd, is there anything else you want to plug, mate?
We'll be at I'll be at Pro Wrestling League tomorrow night. Kedron Wavell, if you're in, but you're not on the show, dickhead.
No,
you'll be in the crowd, and I'll be telling you to shut up.
Yeah, so anyone who wants to come say hi to me and boo Todd with me, Kedron Wavell Services Club tomorrow night. Get your tickets.
See, you say that, but the motherfucker will be wearing a top tier shirt, so won't you? Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Depends what's
Kedron Wavell. Kedron Wavell tomorrow night. I think there's still some tickets available for that show. So get on. It is the best wrestling in Brisbane at the moment going around, in my personal opinion. Some great matches on that show. Mitch and Zeke and Eno will be a great match. Tim Hayden, another one of my boys, against is it Rufio and Bojack? Bojack is, if you haven't seen him, a really, really good worker. And Tim, I think, is one of the most underrated workers in the country.
Solomon Blackwell versus AJ Istria.
AJ Istria. A really, really packed card. There's Bobby Bishop in, who is he against? Oh, Jack Tar.
In the P1 tournament against Jack Tar.
Yeah, it's a packed card. It's going to be a really, really good show. I can't wait for tomorrow night.
Awesome.
So that's what I'll be
a
doing
big
until
shout
Monday.
out there. Absolutely. And then on Monday, we'll be back for another post show for the final show in the World Series Wrestling Unleash Hell Tour. That is all three of us, me, Todd, and Brody. So please make sure you watch the show live and then join us afterwards to chat about it. So until next time, that's been Big Brody Marshall. That's been Todd Eastman. I've been Lachlan Albert. Have a good one.